All right, everybody, thank you for coming today in honor of Lizzy Familetti and her awesome achievement. We're going to get started here in a little bit. We're going to start the commencement ceremony, so if everybody can try to find a seat, we'll get started shortly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay. I'm going to try to make this through. I apologize if I. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I know that some of you have traveled long distances, made great sacrifices to be here. Thank you very much. When Lizzy decided that she wanted to push herself and graduate early, I knew that this day would come. And I knew I would have to give my speech, but I really wasn't prepared to give my speech. There's so many things that I could talk about today. I could tell stories of teaching Lizzy to learn to read, cutting pizzas to teach fractions, hours and hours and hours of learning twinkle on her viola, cutting up frogs in biology class, and the struggles that we have with geometry. I have stories of frustrations when the local school kids would be on winter break, and yet there we were, sitting at the kitchen table learning about the American Revolution. Yet on the flip side, I have stories to tell of taking off time to travel to Mount Rushmore, Cave of the Winds, Old World, Wisconsin, and so many other things. So what exactly do I say? I was recently speaking with an old friend of ours, and he asked me the question, what is something that we can do for Lizzy that will help her in the future, and yet she will remember us? This gentleman and his wife also homeschool their kids. Their kids have long gone, and he knew the value of teaching something to the young. Well, I had no idea what to tell him in answer to his question, and I thought, and it came to me one day as I was picking weeds in the garden. But before I tell you that, I want to tell you a little story. From day one, Scott and Lizzy have had an amazing relationship. Scott held her for the first time, wiped a tear, and said, "So you were the one who's going to wrap me around your finger." I seemed to only be important that first year, the feeding part. And then once she learned that Dad could do it as well, my time was minimal. Still there, but it was minimal. Not exactly the feeding part. Sorry. These two have an absolutely amazing bond. They understand each other, they think alike, and they even have that same snark comeback. They love the same. And once I learned that, I better understood Lizzy. When Lizzy was a little girl, She would desperately need her time with Dad and her blankie on waking up. Sometimes it was just knowing that Dad was there, but sometimes it was those snuggles that got her through. Her attitude would change and it was just plain better. I recall several times calling Scott while he was working, asking where he was at because we had to come see him. I couldn't take the crying, sassy, or the whining any longer. We quickly arrived at the job site. He would open the van door. Her eyes would light up. After several minutes of hugs and talking, her attitude would improve greatly. He would place her in the back seat or give her the beloved blanket from Grandma, and our life was all good once again. I realized as she grew how she would change her perspective on things depending on how I approached things. It was my words of encouragement and affirmation that helped to make her through. Schooling became less stressful and it became more enjoyable for all of us, depending on how I chose my words. I'm sure that many of you understand love languages, and her love language was different than Nathan's, so I had to quickly adjust. One of the hardest times for Lizzy was when we moved from Janesville area to the Adams Friendship. She no longer had those visits with friends, her co-op, her homeschool buddies, or those play dates. But she grew and she got a job and she got new friends. And she learned a little bit about herself in the process. Which brings me back to the question that this gentleman asked me. What is something that we can do for Lizzy and her future that she will remember us by? I told this kind man, please write her a letter. Give her words of encouragement, a fun memory. What do you think of when you think of Lizzy? Lizzy, that's what he did. And not only him, but so many more. I need you to scrapbook of all the comments, the stories, and the love that these people and so many others have presented for you. Sorry. I'm going to read some of these submissions. Pardon me. The first one. Thank you, Liz, for warm memories of snowy, fun-filled weekends and family-oriented feasts. Your forever smile and genuine, caring nature are what make you both mature and irresistible. This is one of my favorites. I have memories from pranks like toothpaste Oreos to mayo pudding, which was interesting. I don't know how many pranks all of us participated in, but nevertheless, it's been a good time. Looking back at everything, it wasn't about how well we did everything, but how much fun we had doing it, which is all that really matters. Here's a wonderful piece of advice. It says, choose your friends wisely. Surround yourself with people you respect, people with whom you can learn. You can't always choose your family or your coworkers, but you can choose your friends. Spend the majority of your time with people who are smarter than you, and you will go far. And I've got one more. It says, I have always loved spending time with you because you are a rare individual in my life with whom I can completely let my guard down and just breathe. I love you, Lizzy, and may you continue to fly into the world with your pure awesomeness. You see, this book and these words teach us a very interesting life lesson. Your life is really more than just about you. It's about those around you, those who you can inspire through your hard work and your dedication, and those to share your time and experiences. And actually, this is what you've been doing your whole life. These words from friends and family show us just that. You see those mornings when you were grumpy and you needed Dad to do the emotional tank? You feel this too. And when you were hanging out with your friends at co-op and all the camps that you've been to, they were sharing time with you, then you were filling them up too. These words of encouragement and advice for your future is because you built a relationship with people and they desire to doing it. If there's one more thing that I can pass on as your high school teacher, remember this lesson. This life is forgiving. It's about the people you pass on the street you greet with a smile. It's about the college professor who's having a really rough day, but you still say, have a nice day. It's about the little child that wants to play with your blocks, just like what you do. And it's about the little brother who wants to hang out with his big sister and hopes that one day he will really beat her in chess. She's just so cute. This life is more than about you. It's about the others too. So I have no doubt that you will exceed in whatever you choose to do. Because you already have. You have exceeded our expectations. I have no doubt that you have a positive mark on this world. And I have no doubt that you will provide a beautiful life for all that you will touch in one way or another. How do I know this? Because you are here. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know how to follow that because that was pretty inspirational for all of us. But what a beautiful day we have here. It stopped raining to come on a beautiful occasion to water on our Lizzy Familetti for her past achievements, her present, and her future accomplishments. I first moved to Wisconsin about 20 years ago, and I remember very well at that time when Lizzy was born. And although we didn't live very close, I was always surprised every time I saw her, how quickly she was growing up, all the achievements that she had in those visits. And one thing you should be proud of is understanding that all of us are here for you. Well, except Mr. Johnson, he's here for the food. What are you going to do? I was going to say it was your Uncle Paul was here for the food, but he wouldn't believe it. Mr. Johnson, you're okay. Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about her past. Lizzy's parents were able to share a little bit of information with me, and Dawn shared some already. But many of you know that Lizzy has faced many obstacles in life growing up, and that started even before she was born. And many of those obstacles have developed in her personality that helps her meet them all head on. One of the things that your parents said, Lizzy, was that they fully feel that God has an amazing plan for you. You look at how your life started. A quote from her mom says this. It says, she has a focus, a determination, a drive I've never seen in anyone else. She mentioned this in her speech, but Dawn also said this. She says, Lizzy loves with her whole heart. And her parents have always known that if Lizzy could learn to channel her strength and determination, that she would indeed do amazing things. And we can see that you already have. She goes on to say, Lizzy is amazing at Taekwondo. I understand her little brother is. That's for another time. It's a sport, she goes on to say, this sport is just what was needed to channel her inner self. It's combative, yet safe, full of focus and determination, mind over matter when breaking boards. Dawn says she has moved forward quickly and beautifully. She has a blue belt, red stripe, only 5 more divisions until a black belt. And she is motivated and determined to see this through. They go on to say, Lizzy, about you, quote some of this stuff, that you have an intense inner strength. And they give an example of this, but you're a sophomore. Your mom said this, she says, Lizzy realized the power she held to go through her schooling at her own pace. No longer was I holding her back to a particular schedule. She determined she was going to work hard and get through this high school thing early. She would work long hours, focus, and push herself. She would squish her deadlines together and make herself complete each task with perfection. She says, you love marine biology. She dove into that subject and completed a 9-month course in 5 months. She wasn't happy with the final grade of that class, so she spent several weeks redoing the chapter and the test to bring her score up to what she decided was going to be okay. Dawn repeatedly told Lizzy that her grade was great. She repeatedly told me it wasn't good enough. And as we know, we've heard Lizzy graduated in January this year, 1.5 years. That's pretty decent. What about the present? Well, Lizzy, she says here, Mom says, is an amazingly loving, generous, kind, and giving person. She has friends in the church as well as outside of the church. And she also has, I think all of us know this, a huge love of animals, specifically dogs. And I see one of your buddies here, specifically Virgo, who came into our lives in March of this year. There were many stories that Mom could have said and Dad also. They could go on for days, they say, about the many stories of your life, Lizzy, and the protection and love that God has provided you. What they do know is that you truly are a gift from God. And you will do these things. I think all of us here know that. I think all of us can agree that Lizzy is a very impressive young lady that God has great plans for. What about the future? Dawn shared with me that after graduation, Lizzy immediately began taking classes at Mid-State Technical College here in Adams, and she's currently striving for a business degree, but I'm unsure if that's what's best. She feels that getting a degree would help with most any career path she takes. And Dawn shared that she has recently, though, found a new love in botany and horticulture and may alter her focus in that direction. She said that by combining her love of marine life and botany, we may also have a fit. Of course, still 17, so still trying to figure out who she is. We understand that. But Lizzy, I think all of us here would agree that you're being successful in whatever you do. And we know that you will work through all those obstacles that will come up, because we know that it won't be easy, right? That there will still be obstacles. You know, think of some of the obstacles today and just pulling off the party that came up. You will work through them. You have been, by virtue of your birth, your parents have been given a very special blessing from God, the creator of this universe. And God will remember this. God promises that He will never leave us, nor forsake us, as long as we stay close to Him. I don't want to give a sermon today, but I think about obstacles or giants. I always think about the story of David and Goliath. Very true story. We understand. It's not a myth. And think about that, Lizzy. Think about the obstacles that you will face. Think about that obstacle that David had in front of him, this giant, this Goliath, that he had no way, no chance of winning a fight with. Yet we know that he did. God was with him. And we all have our own giants, and you will have more in your future. I want to have you think about, and at some point look at, I think this is a scrapbook. 4 different men from the Bible, named Abishai, Sibbecai, Elhanan, and Jonathan. And there are 2 chapters in the Bible where it tells the story of these folks. Believe it or not, these 4 men did the same thing as David. Each of them slew one of Goliath's relatives. And they had no chance. They had God on their side. They had God. What I want to point out to you also as I start to wrap up here is that though you have what a lot of people, many times older than you, don't, and that's a drive. I want to close by reading a placard that was given to me, I don't know, 20 years ago now. It's on my desk, and I read it every day. And again, I think this is in your scrapbook. And I hope that you can feel this way as you stay close to God, as you forge your own future. It simply says this. It says, I have the powerful awareness that I've made the right decision and I'm moving in the right direction. I will let nothing and no one deter, detour, distract, depress, or defeat me. I will be faithful. I will be persistent. I will be determined. And I will not quit. Lizzy, we love you. We're all here for you. We ask you to commit yourself to God in His way of life and keep doing what you're doing with focus and your love of people and your your future truly will be ours. Congratulations again.
All right, now, what you've been waiting for. The presentation of the diploma. Elizabeth Dawn Familetti, please come to the front. You have taken on the challenge and excelled in your schooling. You have met the requirements for the school as well as the state of Wisconsin. It is our pleasure to present to you with this high school diploma from Timber Haven High School. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, the graduated Elizabeth Familetti. We're going to have the blessing for the meal and over the rest of the ceremony by Mr. Joe Green.
Please bow your heads. Our great eternal God, we come before you today on such a wonderful occasion to be here together as family and friends to honor and show our respect for Lizzy and all of her accomplishments for graduation. God, we ask that you put your angels about her as she now moves on into the rest of her life, with her schooling, with her job, with staying close to you. Just please, God, guide her and protect her, and just again keep your angels keep her safe. We ask God that you continue to inspire her and let the drive that she has, just let her accomplish whatever goals that she decides are most important. And so we ask God that you just be with Lizzy throughout the rest of her life. We also, God, ask at this point for your blessing on any food that we're going to eat and for the rest of the afternoon and the activities. And we just thank you so much. We ask you all this.
All right, a party.
Okay, we're gonna have just a few minutes. We're gonna get the rest of the food ready. We're gonna do a little bit of prep. Go ahead and fellowship, have fun, and congratulate Lizzy at your convenience. So we'll be with you here in a little bit, and then we'll have some dinner and have a good time. Thanks.